Hello and welcome to your L6M3 Learn Objective 2 question. So I'm Laura and this is Business Academy Online and let's get into it. Okay, our question for today is discuss 5 factors that would influence the design of an organization of your choice's distribution systems. So obviously you'll have to tell the examiner in your introduction the organization that you choose, but this is more generic to give you the areas that I think you should cover. Okay, so we're always going to define. I thought we'd go into defining distribution channels. And a channel of distribution is the network of intermediaries involved in getting goods from the point of origin or production to the point of consumption, to the consumer. So let's look at some influences to distribution systems. And I think this is a question that sometimes frightens students who don't get involved in logistics. But actually, a lot of this is pure common sense. I've picked 5 different areas. There are many more than this, and you can use different ones should you wish. This is just the guidance. Location of customer and suppliers, channel design, size and location of warehouses and distribution centres, inventory policy, and the availability of transport networks. Because remember, we're talking about influences, things that impact it in some way, either positively or negatively. So let's drill into these. Location of customer and suppliers. The physical network configuration of an organization's distribution systems will depend on the location of where their customers and their key suppliers are. Ideally, in an ideal world, which is not always possible, the suppliers will be close to the customer network, and it will determine whether they need to use third-party logistics companies or whether they can deliver directly themselves. So these are things to think about. So obviously, an influence on your distribution channels or distribution systems will be where are your suppliers and where are your customers. Channel design. This is whether to distribute directly to the customer or via intermediaries. It covers things like what types of distributors should be used, whether that's going to be a retailer, a wholesaler, whether it's agents if you're doing international, franchises like McDonald's users and so on, for each value creation element. So are you going to go direct or are you going to use different ways of getting to the customer? And if you are going to use different ways, then how many of each type? Are you going to engage in mass distribution? Is it going to be selective only to certain stores? Is it going to be exclusive distribution only through one wholesaler, for example, and so on and so on? And part of this will be how specific intermediaries should be selected and managed. So which wholesalers are you going to use? Which franchisees might you use? And so on and so on. So this is an influence. How you want to basically distribute your items will change your entire distribution system. Next one, size and location of distribution centres. So factors in the location of warehouses and distribution centres to make sure that there are streamlined and seamless customer-focused supply chain solution are the following. The length of transport lines from location to key customers. So if you're having to transport this halfway across the world, then that could add cost and risk that you won't deliver on time for your customers. You may have to have larger distribution centres placed in other areas. Proximity and ease of access to major transportation hubs and routes. The convenience, the cost effectiveness and environmental and social impacts of where you're going to locate your distribution centre. You don't necessarily want it in the middle of a heavily built up city like London, for example. Cost of space, facilities and infrastructure development. Staying on that London example, the cost of space of having to go up and using the square footage of that warehouse in central London would be an absolute fortune. So you might look to do that maybe out of London or North England or whatever it may be. The availability and flexibility of local labour and skills. So whether there are the skilled people in that place or whether you're going to have to bring them in. And the environmental and social impacts of the facility itself. So is it going to be something that is built using recycled materials? Is it going to be sustainable, using sustainable energy like solar, like wind power, like water, hydropower? All of these kind of things are part of an influence on your distribution systems. Inventory policy. If an organization is committed to holding safety stock, then this means there needs to be more warehouses and distribution space dedicated for it. But if you are working to JIT just in time, then the distribution channel has to be agile and streamlined to ensure goods can be delivered and go straight into production, that they're neither too late nor too early. They go just in time. And all of this, your inventory policy dictates basically how your distribution systems are going to be organized. And the final one, availability of transport networks. So obviously we want distribution to be near transport networks because it makes it easier. So in terms of which transport mode that we're going to be using, whether that's going to be shipping or whether it's going to be road travel, canal, whatever it may be, you're going to look at the points of departure and destination. Where's it coming from and where is it ending up? The length of that journey, the lead time, any risk or cost issues. The nature of the goods. Are they potentially perishable and need to be refrigerated? So any kind of movement, or are they fragile? So any kind of touch point could mean that they break or may spoil or whatever it may be. The timescale and urgency of customer delivery expectations. And I think, with the rise of things like Amazon delivering with next day or within 2 days, we've become quite spoilt as customers. We don't want to wait a long time. And the environmental impact of these different modes of transport as well, because obviously, plane uses a lot of carbon footprint, so does shipping, and so on and so on. That's all from me. I hope you found that useful. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you back soon. Bye for now.